Kai was not like other explorers. He did not travel to far planets for fame or rewards. He traveled because he wanted to see the unknown and help creatures in need. His small spaceship landed on a frozen world called Glossera. Snow covered everything. The wind howled like a wild animal, and the ground was slippery under his boots. Even so, Kai felt excitement in his chest. This planet was quiet, empty, and beautiful. He wrapped himself in a thick cloak and walked toward a cavern he had seen from the ship. The cavern's entrance was hidden behind ice cliffs. Kai climbed carefully. His breath came in white clouds. The sunlight reflected off the ice, making everything shine like crystal. But inside the cavern, it was darker. The air was colder. Every step Kai took made a soft crunch. Suddenly, he heard a faint sound. It was a soft whimper. Kai stopped and listened. The sound came from deep inside the cave. He walked slowly, careful not to fall. The whimpering grew louder. Soon, he reached a small opening where three tiny creatures were huddled together. They were dragons, but not like the stories of giant fire-breathing beasts. These were no bigger than a puppy, with soft scales that shimmered in pale colors. One was red, one golden, and one white. Their little bodies shook as they tried to stay warm. Kai's heart ached. "Oh, little ones," he said softly. He knelt down. The dragons looked at him with wide, frightened eyes. Their small wings fluttered, but they could not fly. The ice in the cave made their tiny bodies shiver. Kai knew he had to help them. He removed his thermal cloak and gently wrapped the dragons inside. They snuggled close to each other and to him. He felt their tiny hearts beating fast. Kai took a careful look around. The cavern was dangerous. Sharp icicles hung from the ceiling, and cracks ran across the frozen floor. He needed a safer place. He lifted the dragons one by one. They did not fight. They trusted him. Their trust made Kai feel responsible for them. He whispered, "Don't worry, I will keep you safe." Back at his spaceship, Kai set up a small warm shelter. He put soft blankets and a small heat source for the dragons. They curled up together, their small bodies glowing faintly in the warmth. Kai sat nearby and watched. He noticed that the red dragon gave off tiny sparks, the golden one glowed faintly like a candle, and the white one shivered less but seemed to sense the world around it carefully. Kai smiled. Each dragon was special in its own way. Kai knew he could not leave them alone. Even though he had supplies for himself, caring for 3 dragons on a frozen planet was a new challenge. He decided to stay. He felt a connection he had never felt before. The dragons seemed to understand that he meant no harm. Every small movement he made, every soft word he spoke, made them relax. The night on Glossera was long and cold. Kai sat by the dragons and told them stories about the worlds he had visited. He spoke about colorful plants, tall mountains, and oceans that shined under the sun. The dragons listened with their small heads raised. Occasionally, the red dragon sparked a tiny flame, warming the blanket. The golden one's glow filled the room softly. The white one nuzzled against Kai, and he could feel its tiny warmth spreading to him. Kai realized something important. These dragons were not only fragile and small, they were also curious and intelligent. He wondered how they had survived alone in the frozen cave. He decided he would find out. But first, he needed to make them feel safe and loved. He knew that kindness could do more than fear or force. Before he slept, Kai looked at the dragons one last time. "We will face this world together," he whispered. The dragons blinked slowly, almost as if they understood. Kai felt hope rising in his chest. He had not planned to find dragons that day. But now, with Ember, Glow, and Whisper, he decided their journey had just begun. Outside, the wind continued to howl. But inside the small shelter, there was warmth, light, and trust. Kai closed his eyes, feeling the tiny dragons curled against him. For the first time, he realized that life could be found in the most unexpected places, and love could be returned in the smallest gestures. The frozen planet of Glossera seemed less lonely now. Kai had found friends, companions, and perhaps a family in the most unusual form. He did not know what adventures awaited, but he was ready. Together, they would face anything. The morning light came slowly through the icy windows of Kai's small shelter. The cold outside was still strong, but inside, warmth spread from the small heaters and the dragons curled up together on soft blankets. Kai stretched and yawned, looking down at the three tiny dragons. He smiled. Each one had a different color and personality, but they were all curious and alert. Kai knelt near them. The red one, which he decided to name Ember, blinked up at him. Its tiny tail flicked nervously. The golden one, Glow, let out a soft chirping sound and wagged its little wings. The white one, Whisper, lifted its head and sniffed the air carefully. Kai laughed softly. "Good morning, little friends," he said. "Time to see what today brings." Kai spent the morning teaching the dragons small things. He showed them how to move safely across the warm floor without slipping. He gave each dragon a small piece of food. Ember eagerly nibbled, while Glow glowed a little brighter as it ate. Whisper seemed cautious at first but then took its food gently. Kai watched carefully. He realized that each dragon had its own way of learning and thinking. After breakfast, Kai decided to test the dragons' abilities. He took them to a small cleared area in the shelter. He held up a small stick and asked Ember to touch it. To his surprise, Ember breathed a tiny spark of fire, lighting the stick for a moment. Kai clapped softly. "Well done, Ember," he said. Ember looked proud, puffing out a tiny bit of smoke. Then he turned to Glow. "Can you try shining your light?" he asked. Glow blinked and slowly its body began to glow like a golden lantern. The light filled the room softly. Kai felt warmth spread through him. Even the coldest corners of the shelter felt comfortable with Glow's light. Finally, he looked at Whisper. "What about you?" he asked. Whisper tilted its head and stepped toward a small pile of scattered pebbles. Suddenly, it hissed softly, making Kai stop. He looked up and noticed a small crack in the floor. Without Whisper, he might have stepped there and fallen. Whisper's sharp senses had saved him. Kai knelt down and gently patted Whisper's head. "You are amazing," he said. The dragon seemed to respond to Kai's words. Ember flicked its tail against his hand. Glow blinked softly, and Whisper nudged his fingers. Kai laughed. He realized that these little dragons were not just pets. They were intelligent creatures, capable of understanding him in ways that surprised him. As the day passed, Kai explored ways to teach them to move together. He made a small obstacle course with soft rocks and low walls. Ember jumped first, sparking tiny flames for warmth. Glow glowed to light the path, and Whisper stayed close, warning if something was dangerous. Kai watched with amazement. The dragons were learning quickly, but they also seemed to enjoy helping each other. By afternoon, the bond between Kai and the dragons grew stronger. Wherever Kai went, they followed. Even when he moved slowly or stopped to rest, the dragons stayed close. Ember would perch on his shoulders sometimes, leaving tiny sparks that did not burn. Glow would hover near him, bathing him in golden light. Whisper walked carefully at his feet, always alert. Kai realized he had never felt so connected to other living creatures. Kai also noticed something surprising. The dragons were starting to understand simple gestures. When he pointed toward a small pile of firewood, Ember ran and brought it closer. When he held his hand up, Glow stopped glowing and waited. Whisper followed quietly, waiting for his signal. Kai felt proud. He knew that his care, patience, and trust had created this connection. As evening came, Kai and the dragons returned to the shelter. The sun set behind the icy mountains, painting the sky in shades of pink and blue. Kai sat on a blanket with the dragons curled around him. Ember's warmth, Glow's gentle light, and Whisper's quiet presence made him feel safe and happy. He whispered, "You three are extraordinary. I will protect you, and we will explore this world together." The dragons responded in their own ways. Ember breathed tiny sparks that danced in the air. Glow brightened its glow until the room was golden. Whisper nuzzled Kai's hand, and he felt its tiny heartbeat against his palm. Kai smiled, knowing that this was only the beginning. Their bond was growing stronger every day. That night, Kai slept surrounded by Ember, Glow, and Whisper. The cold wind outside no longer seemed frightening. Inside the shelter, there was warmth, light, and trust. Kai knew that together they could face any challenge. The dragons were no longer just creatures he had saved. They had become his companions, his friends, and his family. The frozen planet of Glossera felt less lonely now. Kai was not alone anymore. He had 3 little dragons who loved him, and he loved them back. Their adventure was just beginning, and together, they would discover the wonders and secrets of this icy world. The next morning, Kai woke to find the cold even stronger than before. Snow had fallen heavily overnight, covering the planet in a thick, white blanket. The icy wind whipped across the frozen plains, and the sun shone weakly through gray clouds. Kai knew it was dangerous to go outside, but he also knew they needed supplies. The dragons, Ember, Glow, and Whisper, stirred at his side, ready for the day. Kai prepared small packs of food and blankets for the dragons. Ember hopped onto his shoulder, letting out tiny sparks that lit their path. Glow glowed brightly, warming the small area around them. Whisper walked carefully beside him, its sharp eyes scanning for danger. Kai smiled. "We will be careful," he said. The dragons responded as if they understood. As they stepped outside, the snow crunched under Kai's boots. The wind made it hard to see, but the dragons stayed close. They moved as a team. Ember flew ahead in small hops, leaving sparks to mark the way. Glow hovered behind, bathing them in warm light. Whisper stayed near Kai's feet, always alert for cracks or slippery ice. Kai felt proud. The dragons were not only loyal, they were smart and brave. Halfway to the supply storage, the ground beneath them began to shake. A sudden snowstorm hit, stronger than any Kai had seen before. The wind whipped against their faces, and snow swirled in every direction. Kai squinted, trying to find shelter. The dragons immediately responded. Ember blew tiny sparks to melt small patches of ice for a clear path. Glow glowed brighter, lighting the way even through the storm. Whisper hissed softly, warning Kai of a large, loose rock sliding toward them. Kai grabbed the rock just in time and held the dragons close. "Good work, all of you," he said, feeling relief. He realized that the dragons' abilities were more than cute tricks. They were tools for survival. Without them, he might have been trapped or injured. The bond he had formed with them was saving his life. The storm continued, but Kai found a small cave nearby. He led the dragons inside. The cave was dark, but safe from the wind. Ember curled up on a ledge, Glow hovered near Kai, and Whisper explored carefully. Kai unpacked their small supplies and shared food with the dragons. He could see they were tired but satisfied. They had learned quickly how to work together to survive. After the storm passed, Kai decided to continue toward the supply storage. The snow was deep, and every step was exhausting. Ember flew short distances, scouting ahead. Glow's light cut through the shadows, and Whisper stayed vigilant, warning them of slippery ice or sharp rocks. Kai realized that each dragon had a special role. Ember provided warmth and courage, Glow provided light and comfort, and Whisper provided safety and guidance. Together, they were stronger than Kai alone. Finally, they reached the supply storage. It was a small building half buried in snow. Kai quickly gathered food, blankets, and tools. As he worked, the dragons played nearby, using their abilities in small, careful ways. Ember sparked small flames that melted frozen water, Glow's light made the room warm, and Whisper watched every corner, making sure it was safe. Kai smiled. Their teamwork amazed him. On the way back to their shelter, Kai felt a sense of pride and joy. He had always known dragons were special, but seeing how these tiny creatures worked together and protected him made him realize how extraordinary they truly were. They were not just animals. They were companions, friends, and protectors. When they returned to the shelter, the sun was setting. The sky turned soft shades of pink and blue. Kai sat with Ember, Glow, and Whisper close to him. He felt warmth from their small bodies and abilities. For the first time, he realized he was not alone on this frozen planet. The dragons were more than obsessed with him. They were loyal, intelligent, and full of life. Kai whispered to them, "We faced the storm together. You saved me, and I will protect you. We will always look out for each other." Ember sparked tiny flames that danced in the air. Glow glowed warmly, filling the room with soft light. Whisper curled against Kai's hand, its tiny heart beating fast. That night, Kai and the dragon slept closely together. The storm had passed, but he knew that the frozen planet could be dangerous at any time. Yet, with Ember, Glow, and Whisper by his side, he felt confident. Together, they could face any challenge. The dragon's obsession with him was no longer just affection. It was loyalty, trust, and teamwork. Kai looked at the little dragons as they slept and felt hope. The frozen world of Glossera was vast and harsh, but with his companions, it was full of warmth, light, and life. He had saved them, but they had also saved him in return. Their adventure had begun, and Kai knew that together, they could overcome any obstacle. Days passed on the frozen planet of Glossera, and Kai's bond with Ember, Glow, and Whisper grew stronger. The little dragons followed him everywhere, learning new tricks and helping him in small ways. Ember's sparks kept their path warm, Glow's light cut through the cold shadows, and Whisper's sharp senses warned Kai of hidden dangers. Life was calm, but Kai knew that such extraordinary creatures would soon attract attention. One morning, while Kai was exploring a nearby ice ridge, he noticed footprints in the snow. They were not human, nor were they from any animal he knew. The tracks were large, careful, and fresh. Kai's heart raced. He looked at the dragons, who immediately huddled close. Ember's tiny sparks flickered nervously. Glow's glow brightened, and Whisper hissed softly. The dragons sensed something unusual. Kai followed the tracks carefully, leading the dragons behind him. The footprints ended at a small flat area, where he saw a group of other explorers. They were humans, but they wore thick, high-tech suits and carried strange devices. Kai realized they were here for the dragons. His chest tightened. He loved the little dragons, and he could not let anyone take them away. The explorers noticed Kai and began approaching. Ember, Glow, and Whisper reacted immediately. Ember breathed tiny sparks in the air, Glow shone brightly, and Whisper positioned itself between Kai and the strangers. Kai raised his hands. "Stay calm," he whispered. The dragons seemed to understand. They were small, but they would protect him. The lead explorer called out, "Those are rare dragons. We need to study them. Step aside, young man." Kai shook his head. "These dragons are not yours. I will not let you take them," he said firmly. The dragons responded, Ember hopping onto Kai's shoulder, Glow hovering near him, and Whisper standing guard. Kai felt a surge of confidence. He knew the dragons trusted him completely, and he trusted them. The explorers tried to move closer, but the dragons acted as one. Ember's sparks created small walls of heat, Glow's light made it hard to see, and Whisper's sharp warnings kept Kai one step ahead. The explorers paused, realizing that these tiny creatures were not ordinary. Kai smiled slightly, feeling proud. The dragon's loyalty was extraordinary. After a tense moment, the explorers stepped back. "We will return," the lead one said. Kai watched them go, his heart pounding. He looked at Ember, Glow, and Whisper. "You three are amazing," he said. The dragons blinked at him, their small bodies glowing with life. Kai realized that their obsession with him had grown deeper. They were not just companions. They were protectors, friends, and family. Kai decided to move the dragons to a safer location. He led them through hidden paths in the ice, avoiding the main plains where others might find them. Ember sparked small flames to melt the ice and create a path, Glow's light guided them through dark tunnels, and Whisper warned of every hidden crack or drop. Together, they moved quickly and quietly. When they reached a secluded cave far from the explorers, Kai set up their shelter again. He built small walls of ice and snow to hide them from sight. The dragons settled in, curling around him. Kai felt a deep sense of relief. He knew they were safe for now, but he also knew the world would not leave them alone. The dragon's obsession with him was a blessing. It made them alert, loyal, and protective. That evening, Kai spent time teaching the dragons new ways to work together. He showed Ember how to spark small flames to melt frozen water, Glow how to adjust its glow to warm a wider area, and Whisper how to detect small changes in the environment. The dragons learned quickly, their tiny faces full of curiosity. Kai realized that every act of care he had given them had helped them grow stronger. As the sun set behind the icy mountains, Kai sat with the dragons close to him. Ember flicked sparks in the air like tiny fireworks, Glow bathed the cave in a warm golden light, and Whisper rested its head gently on Kai's knee. The world outside might be dangerous, but inside this small space, there was warmth, trust, and love. Kai whispered, "We will face anything together. No one can take you from me. I will protect you, and you will protect me." The dragons responded in their own ways, showing that their bond was more than affection. It was loyalty, trust, and understanding. Kai felt proud and grateful. He had saved them, but they had changed his life in return. As night fell, the cave was quiet and peaceful. The explorers were gone, and Kai knew they would be cautious in returning. Ember, Glow, and Whisper slept close to him, their small bodies radiating warmth and light. Kai knew that no matter what challenges came, they would face them as a team. The dragon's obsession was not a burden. It was a gift, a sign of the bond they shared, and a promise of adventures yet to come. The frozen planet of Glossera no longer felt lonely or dangerous. Kai had companions, friends, and a family who would never leave him. Together, they were ready for the world, ready to explore, and ready to face any challenge that might come their way. Kai woke early to the sound of ice shifting outside. The morning light was dim, and the cold was sharper than usual. He stretched and looked at Ember, Glow, and Whisper. The dragons were already awake, alert, and moving around the small shelter. Kai knew something in the air felt different. He trusted the dragon's instincts. As Kai stepped outside, a loud crack echoed through the frozen landscape. The ground trembled beneath his boots. He froze and scanned the area. A fissure had opened near the entrance of their shelter. The ice was unstable, and snow and rocks were sliding into the crack. Kai's heart raced. He needed to act quickly, or the shelter and the dragons would be trapped. Ember hissed and flapped its tiny wings. Sparks flew from its mouth, lighting the dark fissure. Glow glowed brightly, filling the area with golden light. Whisper hissed sharply and moved closer to Kai, sensing danger. The dragon's reactions helped him understand the severity of the situation. They were not just companions, they were his protectors and guides. Kai called out gently, "Stay close. We need to move quickly." The dragons responded immediately. Ember flew onto his shoulder, keeping close and providing light. Glow hovered near him, illuminating safe paths. Whisper stayed at his feet, alerting him to unstable ice. Kai felt a rush of pride. Their loyalty and instincts were incredible. The ground shook again, larger this time. Snow and rocks tumbled toward them. Kai carefully guided the dragons. Ember sparked small flames to melt the ice, creating stable stepping stones. Glow's light warmed the surface, preventing small patches of frost from breaking. Whisper hissed and nudged Kai away from a large slab that was about to fall. Together, they moved through the dangerous terrain. Kai's arms ached from holding supplies and keeping the dragons close, but he did not stop. He whispered encouragement to them. "We are almost there. Stay strong." Ember, Glow, and Whisper worked together as a team. Ember's sparks melted snow, Glow's light warmed icy patches, and Whisper warned them of hidden cracks. Their coordination amazed Kai. After careful steps and careful teamwork, they reached a safer area. The fissure had widened, but Kai and the dragons were unharmed. Kai knelt, breathing heavily. He looked at Ember, Glow, and Whisper. "You saved us," he said softly. The dragons responded in their own way. Ember flicked tiny sparks proudly, Glow's light shone warmly, and Whisper nudged Kai's hand. They had faced danger together and survived. Kai realized that the dragons had grown stronger because of his care. Every gentle touch, every kind word, and every shared moment had built a bond of trust and loyalty. They were not just affectionate. They were brave, intelligent, and ready to act when needed. He had saved them once, but now they had saved him in return. That night, Kai built a new shelter further from the fissure. He used ice blocks and blankets to create a safe space. Ember, Glow, and Whisper helped in their small ways. Ember's sparks melted ice blocks for shaping. Glow's glow gave warmth as Kai worked. Whisper watched every corner for safety. By the time the shelter was ready, it was warm and secure. Kai sat with the dragons close to him, feeling their tiny hearts beating against his hands. The storm and fissure had shown him something important. Kindness and care could build trust, but trust created strength and courage. He whispered, "We are a team. Together, nothing can harm us." The dragons responded with soft movements and glowing warmth, showing they understood. Outside, the cold wind howled across Glossera, but inside the small shelter, there was safety, light, and warmth. Kai realized that the dragon's obsession with him was more than affection. It was loyalty, trust, and teamwork. They were always ready to help, to protect, and to act. He had saved them, and now they had become his guardians. As Kai and the dragons settled down for the night, he felt a deep sense of peace. The planet could be dangerous, but with Ember, Glow, and Whisper by his side, he knew he could face any challenge. Their adventure was far from over, and he looked forward to discovering more about the frozen world and the extraordinary little dragons who had changed his life. Kai closed his eyes, feeling warmth from the dragons. The frozen planet was no longer a lonely, cold place. Together, they were strong, brave, and ready for whatever came next. Ember, Glow, and Whisper would never leave him, and he would always protect them in return. The next morning, Kai woke to the gentle warmth of Ember, Glow, and Whisper. The little dragons were already awake, stretching their tiny wings and moving around the shelter. Kai smiled. Their bond had grown stronger with every day. They trusted him completely, and he trusted them. Today, he decided to teach them something new: how to work together and face challenges as a team. Kai led the dragons outside. The sun was low in the sky, casting long shadows over the frozen plains. He set up a small obstacle course with soft ice blocks, low snow mounds, and scattered rocks. "We will practice teamwork today," he said. Ember, Glow, and Whisper watched him carefully, their small bodies alert and ready. Kai knew they were capable of learning more, and he wanted to help them grow. He began with Ember. "You will be the pathfinder," he said. Ember's tiny eyes glowed with excitement. Kai asked Ember to create sparks along a safe path, marking where it was okay to step. Ember hopped carefully, leaving tiny flames that melted snow just enough for safe footing. Kai clapped softly. Ember had learned quickly and seemed proud of its ability to help. Next, he turned to Glow. "You will guide us with your light." Glow blinked and glowed brightly. Kai asked Glow to shine on dark patches, warm icy areas, and tricky corners. Glow's golden light filled the surroundings, making it easy to see and move safely. Kai realized how important Glow's glow was for their teamwork. Without it, the icy plains would be dangerous, and the dragons would not move so confidently. Finally, Kai focused on Whisper. "You will be our scout and protector," he said. Whisper's small head tilted as it studied Kai. Whisper moved slowly around the course, sniffing and listening. When a small patch of ice shifted beneath their feet, Whisper hissed, warning Kai and the others. Kai felt a deep sense of pride. Each dragon had a role, and they were learning to depend on each other as much as on him. Kai guided them through the course again and again. Ember sparked paths, Glow lit the way, and Whisper protected them from hidden dangers. Each time, the dragons improved. They began to anticipate each other's movements. Ember would spark where Glow's light needed to shine most. Whisper would nudge Kai or Ember to prevent slips. The teamwork was becoming natural. Kai realized that their loyalty and obsession with him had evolved into intelligence and cooperation. The dragons were no longer just following him blindly. They were thinking, learning, and acting together. He whispered, "You three are amazing. You are not only brave, but smart, and caring too. The dragons responded, Ember flicking tiny sparks, Glow glowing warmly, and Whisper nudging his hand. After practice, Kai led the dragons to a frozen stream nearby. He wanted them to learn a new skill crossing tricky terrain together. The ice over the stream was thin in some places. Kai demonstrated how to test each step carefully, and then he let the dragons try. Ember moved first, sparking paths across thicker ice. Glow hovered above, lighting the way, and Whisper tested each step, warning if it felt unsafe. Kai watched with awe as the dragons coordinated perfectly. They learned not just from him, but from each other. When Ember made a mistake, Glow adjusted its glow to highlight the safe path. When Whisper hesitated, Ember sparked again to guide the way. Kai realized that these dragons were extraordinary. They had grown strong, intelligent, and loyal because of care, patience, and trust. By evening, Kai and the dragons returned to their shelter, tired but happy. Ember curled up on his shoulder, Glow hovered close to provide warmth, and Whisper rested at his feet. Kai felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had not only saved the dragons, but he had also helped them grow. They had become capable, confident, and ready for the challenges of the frozen planet. Kai whispered, "We are a team. You protect me, I protect you, and together we can face anything." Ember sparked tiny flames, Glow bathed the room in golden light, and Whisper rested quietly, its small heart beating fast. The dragon's obsession had become a bond stronger than Kai had ever imagined. It was loyalty, trust, teamwork, and love. That night, Kai lay down with Ember, Glow, and Whisper close to him. The cold wind howled outside, but inside the shelter, there was warmth, safety, and connection. He realized that saving the dragons had changed his life as much as their lives. Together, they had grown stronger, braver, and wiser. The frozen planet of Glossera no longer seemed lonely or dangerous. With Ember, Glow, and Whisper by his side, Kai was ready for any adventure the world could bring. Kai closed his eyes, feeling the warmth and loyalty of the dragons. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but he also knew they would face them together. Ember, Glow, and Whisper were more than companions. They were his family, his team, and his friends. Together, they were unstoppable.